China has summoned the European Union's ambassador to protest the bloc sanctions over claims of human rights abuses in Xinjiang. Beijing has hit back with economic measures of its own. And for more on this, we are joined by Dr. Lim Tai Wei from the Singapore University of Social Sciences. So the impact of these new sanctions, how different are they from past sanctions?
I think this is actually the first round of multilateral sanctions that is coordinated between the US and European Union since the Biden administration took over. It also has shows of concerns from Australia and New Zealand, and Canada is also part of the team that is sanctioning China. So this is probably the first multilateral team-up that you see happening, which is something that President Biden has promised in his presidential campaign, that he will rely on allies for multilateral measures in international affairs.
And are these coordinated sanctions the start, then, of a new diplomatic approach to China?
It appears to align with President Biden's ideology, worldview, as well as doctrines. So from what we have seen so far, from the quadrilateral dialogue to the 2x2 talks, as well as the bilateral talks in South Korea and Japan, as well as the current latest rounds of sanctions centering on the Xinjiang issue, it appears that that is the case, which aligns with what President Biden has mentioned in his presidential campaign, that he will rely on multilateralism and consultations with allies.
Now, these tit-for-tat sanctions, how do you see that endangering the EU's moves to try to increase trade with China?
There are three schools of thoughts about this. The first school says that it is symbolic, because if you look at the sanctions list, Chen Quanguo, which is one of the which is the top official in Xinjiang that was sanctioned by the US last year, is not on the European list. And it was mentioned in the international media that this is to prevent the issue from escalating. There is also another school of thought that says that this will really fight the relationship because it is a show of force from a multilateral perspective that has a real impact on China's domestic affairs. There's also a pragmatic school of thought that says that because of the sanctions that is carefully designed, there can be a separation of politics from economics, keeping the investments and trade treaty alive while disagreeing on other issues. Some may call it selective engagement.
And at the same time, China and Russia are putting up a united front. What do you make of that?
This appears to be a response in a show of unity against the latest round of sanction, multilaterally conceived by the European Union and the US. Not only that, on the same day, at the same time, there was also a reaffirmation of alliance between China and North Korea. So it appears that China wants to show that it has allies, partners, and friends in this issue, and that there is unity from countries that may not agree with the worldviews of what they consider to be the West. So there is some show of unity in the city of southern Chinese city of Nanning, with the visiting Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, in showing that displeasure, given that the sanctions that was imposed on Russia after the Ukrainian and Crimean crisis is somewhat similar to what China is facing now over Xinjiang.
So, Dr. Lim, on the matter of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, do you foresee any further escalation on either side?
Well, currently the measures seems to be quite controlled and well sort of designed to prevent escalation to a point of no return. Of course, this has resulted in the hardening on both sides. as you have also mentioned, that the Chinese have shown unity with the Russians. And on the other side, the West is rallying around the traditional alliances. So there is a need to sort of de-escalate the situation and also put in place mechanisms that can prevent accidental clashes or tensions, which may unintentionally escalate the situation. And perhaps the Alaskan talks in Anchorage is the first step in doing so.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this evening, Dr. Lim Tai Wei from the Singapore University of Social Sciences.